Some memories don't fade. They stain. It's been years, but I still remember the exact color of the sky, the sound of tires scraping pavement, the way my instincts screamed before I even knew why. I was 16, thought I was just walking home. Turns out, I was walking straight into someone else's plan. Everyone always said I was too skinny for soccer, too skinny to stand my ground, too skinny to matter in a real fight. But no one ever said I was slow. Back then I ran track, sprints, 100, 200 meters. Coach called my legs lightning, said my lungs never knew how to quit. I never thought that would be what saved me. It happened after practice. Coach kept me late, working on explosive starts. When I finished, the track was empty. The sun was low. Shadows stretched long across the field. I shoved half a protein bar into my mouth, popped in one earbud, slung my gym bag over my shoulder, and headed out. I took the side street, like always. Quieter than Maine, fewer cars, less noise. I'd walked it alone dozens of times, but that day, something was off. A white van sat idling near the curb, halfway down the block. No logos, no rear windows, just the quiet purr of an engine. Like it had been waiting. I clocked it, didn't overthink it, until the back door flew open. "Hey, you dropped this!" someone shouted. I turned, automatic. A man stepped out, balding, 40s, wearing a clean utility vest and a clipped-on badge I couldn't read. In his hand, he held up a black phone. "I think it's yours," he said, smiling. It wasn't. I pulled out my earbud. "No, not mine." "You sure?" he said, stepping closer. "I saw you pass right by it." His voice was too smooth, too calm, like a customer service rep trying too hard to sound like he cared. Then I noticed his shoes, muddy, laces uneven. But that vest? Crisp, like it had just come out of a wrapper. Something didn't add up. And then I saw it. No license plate on the van. My stomach flipped. He stepped closer, holding the phone up higher, still smiling. "No, seriously, I'm good," I said, backing up a step. And that's when I saw it. In his other hand, a zip tie, already looped, ready. My heart stuttered. I didn't scream. I didn't think. I ran, dropped my gym bag. Earbuds hit the sidewalk, legs moving before my mind caught up. Behind me, a door slammed. Tires screeched. The van peeled out. You don't know fear until you hear an engine chasing you down. You don't understand adrenaline until your body runs for your life without checking if you'll make it. He was trying to cut me off. Tires bounced the curb. But this was my neighborhood, my turf. I knew where the sidewalks buckled, where the alleys narrowed, where cars didn't fit. I darted into a tight alley between buildings, vaulted a trash bin, cut through a narrow gap. No headlights behind me. Still, I didn't stop. He'd circle around, try to guess where I'd come out. I burst onto Jefferson Street like a firework. Cars, people, neon signs. The convenience store on the corner lit up like a beacon. I aimed straight for it. The automatic doors hissed open. "Call the cops!" I gasped. The guy behind the counter froze, phone half in his hand. "What?" "There's a man in a white van. He tried to grab me. Call them now." He didn't argue, just grabbed the store phone with trembling fingers. I crouched behind the nearest shelf, every part of me trembling. Then I saw it. The van rolled by across the street, smooth and slow. He couldn't see me, but I could feel him searching. Our eyes met. One heartbeat. Two. Then he just drove away. Not fast, not panicked, just gone, like it wasn't the first time he'd done this. The police arrived minutes later. I told them everything: the van, the badge, the zip tie, the fake voice, the missing plates. When I was done, one of them said, "You did everything right. You trusted your instincts. Most people freeze." I nodded. I didn't feel brave. I felt like I'd only just caught up to what had almost happened. It wasn't courage, it was instinct. One officer drove me back to the alley. My bag and earbuds were still there, untouched. I picked them up with shaking hands, and I thought, What if I hadn't noticed the zip tie? What if I'd taken one more step? What if I told myself not to be rude and ignored the knot in my stomach? That's what haunts me. How fast it all changed, how small the warning signs were, how normal it started. People still call me skinny. I don't care anymore. Because now I know. You don't have to be big to survive. You don't have to be strong to be fast. And sometimes 3 seconds of instinct can save your life. I don't take side streets anymore. I don't wear both earbuds. I don't second-guess bad vibes. And when I see a white van with no plates, I cross the street. It took me an extra 30 minutes to get home that night. I waited at the store until my mom pulled up, white-knuckling the steering wheel like it was the only thing holding her together. She didn't cry, didn't say much, just stared at me the whole ride like I might vanish. At one point, she whispered, "You're okay, right, Jenna?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. And when we pulled into the driveway, she said, without looking back, "Take the trash out before dinner. It smells like something died in there." I blinked, just stood there for a second. Gym bag still slung over my shoulder, my legs still buzzing with leftover adrenaline. And then I laughed, just a little, because that was my life. That was my mom. No speech, no drama, just garbage to deal with. I dropped my bag, grabbed the trash, and stepped back out onto the porch. The last of the sun disappeared behind the rooftops, and I finally let go of the breath I'd been holding. I was home. I was safe. And right then, that was everything. No one warns you how fast a sidewalk can become a trap, or how easily strangers can decide you don't belong. It doesn't matter how harmless you think you look, or how far you are from home. All it takes is the wrong turn, the wrong glance, a sun setting a little faster than you expected, and suddenly, you're no longer a person. You're a mark. I was only in the US for a 2-week vacation. 20 years of office life in Tokyo had turned my world into a routine of commuter trains, vending machine lunches, fluorescent lights, and polite nods. I'd finally saved enough paid leave to visit America properly. Not the half-measure 3-day business trips I'd done before, but a real break. A chance to see those famous places I'd only read about in magazines or seen in movies with subtitles. The Grand Canyon, New York, San Francisco. But it was Los Angeles where I found myself wandering on that particular late afternoon. Wearing my little fishing hat, camera slung across my chest, Hawaiian shirt too loud even for Venice Beach. A walking cliché. And I knew it. That was fine with me. I've always liked being on the sidelines, observing, staying just outside of things, watching people when they don't realize anyone's paying attention. There's a quiet satisfaction in catching small moments others miss. I'd already spent the morning photographing surfers catching waves and tattooed vendors selling grilled corn and knockoff sunglasses. Bought myself a terrible iced coffee from a food truck run by a man whose face looked like it had lost a long argument with a bottle of bleach. I'd laughed at the ridiculous signs in head shops, listened to a street performer who made surprisingly good jazz out of plastic buckets. It was a good day, until the sun began to lower. You don't notice it at first, the way the light changes, how shadows stretch longer and slip into places they hadn't been before. The colors drain from the air. Even voices along the boardwalk seem to shift pitch. Laughter turns sharper. Conversations sound clipped. People move faster. Eyes dart more. A place built for pleasure, quietly remembering it's a city too. I was chasing a mural I'd seen online. Something about a giant koi fish bursting through a wave of cherry blossoms. It was supposed to be painted on the side of an old auto shop a few streets back from the beach. I thought I could get there before the light went bad. The beach vanished behind me. No more tourists, no more music. Just narrow alleys now. Fences with rusted, broken links. A shopping cart crammed with clothes blocking part of the sidewalk. A gutter where something dark and sluggish crawled along the curb. The sharp, metallic scent of old rain clinging to asphalt. And silence. Not the good kind. Not the quiet you find walking through a forest or sitting in a library. This was a tense, unnatural kind of silence. The air itself felt heavier, as if it didn't want to move. I should have turned back. The alley felt wrong. The air too thick, too still for a city evening. I told myself it was nothing, that stories about bad neighborhoods always get stretched in retellings, that I didn't look like someone worth the trouble. But the quiet carried weight. It pressed on my shoulders, made my footsteps sound too loud in my own ears. I kept walking, even as something small and mean twisted in my stomach. When the first man appeared, I didn't realize it was a problem. He was tall, lean, wearing a faded hoodie, even though the air was warm and sticky. His face was sharp, with a mouth that smiled too wide and eyes that didn't smile at all. He stood half blocking the sidewalk, hands in his pockets. I instinctively bowed a little as I approached. Habit. A lifetime of living where manners mattered. "Hey man," he said, voice easy, casual. I understood him well enough. I speak English, not perfectly, but well enough. I'd studied it since I was a teenager, worked with American clients at my job, but I knew better than to invite conversation. Tourists are invisible when they stay small. I stopped walking. "I'm okay," I said gently, bowing my head again. "Just sightseeing." That was when the second one appeared. From behind a dumpster that overflowed with crushed soda cans and something rotting. Bigger, shirtless, a wide, jagged tattoo sprawled across his chest. Letters I couldn't read. Not English, not Japanese. A crude scrawl meant to look dangerous. My hands went still at my sides. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat, though my face stayed neutral. "Where are you from?" the first man asked. "Japan? China? Korea?" "Japan," I said quietly. They looked at each other. A smirk passed between them. The bigger one chuckled. "Got yourself a nice camera there." I nodded. "Yes." "Bet it's expensive." I didn't answer. He stepped closer. I could smell his breath, sour and heavy. "Let me see it." I took a breath, slow and controlled. "No, thank you." The first one moved behind me. I turned slightly, adjusting my footing without seeming to. One in front, one behind. The narrow alley closing in like the jaws of something alive. They thought I was boxed in. What they didn't know was I had trained for this. Not here, not this situation, not these men, but this moment. My father had been a karate instructor in Saitama, his father before him. The dojo walls filled with photos of tournaments, old trophies, black and white pictures of stoic men in stiff white uniforms. I'd been on the tatami since I was 5, earned my black belt by 16. Even now, middle-aged, with a job that kept me behind a desk and a thinning hairline under my fishing hat. I practiced every weekend on the rooftop of my apartment building. The city lights as my backdrop. The wind, my only audience. Not because I thought I'd need it. Because life rarely asks your permission. It asks your response. "Give us the camera," the one behind me said, his voice lower now. Edged. I didn't answer. Shifted my weight slightly, just enough to see them both. Breath steady, footing firm. To them, still just a soft lost tourist in a loud shirt. But I was also something else. The shirtless man reached for the strap around my neck. That was his mistake. In one movement, sharp, practiced, I stepped in, closed the distance, gripped his wrist, twisted sharply, using his own momentum against him. The sound his arm made wasn't a break, but close enough to send a jagged jolt of panic through his face. He shouted. Before he could react, I swept his leg with a pivot of my hip. His body hit the ground hard, a dull, wet thud against the concrete. The other man lunged, fast, not trained, just wild. His hand swung toward my face. I ducked low, turned into the movement. Open palm strike to his gut, not meant to injure, just to stop his momentum. A warning. He staggered back, confusion flickering across his features, followed by something colder, fear. I stayed still, breathing steady, hands open at my sides, not fists, but ready. "Go," I said softly. He hesitated, then turned and bolted. The shirtless one on the ground groaned, cradling his arm, but didn't get up. I didn't run. I walked away, not quickly but aware, each step measured, feeling the gritty texture of the uneven sidewalk beneath my sandals, the weight of the air, every sound heightened. A distant car horn, the chirp of some unseen bird, the slow, steady pulse of blood in my ears. I didn't tell anyone. Not back at the hotel. Not when I boarded the tour bus to Yosemite 2 days later, where waterfalls roared and squirrels begged for food, and an old couple from Missouri asked me too many questions about sushi. But the alley stayed with me. Even now, sometimes when I close my eyes, I can feel that place. The heat of the asphalt, the hollow clatter of a kicked bottle rolling somewhere behind me, the way the quiet wasn't really quiet at all, just waiting. How quickly the world can turn, how easily a space filled with sunlight and noise can become something that eats you whole. How many people don't get to walk away. I wasn't angry, not even shaken, just aware. When I got home, I resumed my routine. Office, grocery store, weekend rooftop training. But I reopened my father's old dojo. A small group at first, 6 students, 2 restless teenagers with too much bravado, a mother escaping something she wouldn't name, an older man with a limp he pretended not to have. I told them what I'd learned. This isn't about fighting. It's about presence. The calm in your bones when others fill the air with noise. Because the world doesn't owe you safety. And sometimes it won't give you a warning. I used to be scared of ghosts. Now I'm scared of people. Funny how fast your priorities shift after you become a parent. Sleep's a memory. Peace of mind's a luxury. Every decision feels heavier, riskier. I'm Katie, 33, single mom, and in what I like to call my survival era. My daughter Lila is almost 1. She loves bath time and hates car rides, which makes grocery runs a special kind of torture. That night, it was diapers. Of course it was. I'd let the box run down to 1 lonely spare, and by the time I realized, it was nearly 11 p.m. The only 24-hour place was down the old highway. 10 minutes each way, maybe 12. I told myself it would be fine. No traffic, in and out. Lila was already asleep when I strapped her into the car seat. The way her tiny fists curled up under her chin. It made me pause for a second. I don't know why. Just one of those weird mom instincts you can't explain. It was a quiet drive. The kind of eerie calm you only notice when you're alone at night. The streetlights stretched long and thin across the asphalt. My headlights made tunnels out of the darkness. A fog was just starting to settle, hanging low along the trees. The world felt distant somehow, like the night had folded in around us. The radio played some old soft rock ballad. I left it on for the company. And then I saw the truck. It was parked on the shoulder up ahead. Blinkers flashing, driver's door wide open. A man stood beside it, waving both arms like someone signaling a plane. I slowed down. Instinct, I guess. Nobody else was out there. Just him and me, and my baby. I pulled up alongside and rolled the window down a couple inches. He looked mid-30s. Big guy, broad shoulders, heavy tan jacket. His hands were dirty, grease smudges under his nails. His face was friendly enough, but something about his eyes, they didn't match the smile. "Thank God," he said. "Battery's dead. Could you give me a jump? Just need a couple minutes." I glanced in the rear-view mirror. Lila, still asleep, face turned toward the window. I felt this pressure in my chest. Not fear, not yet. More like a tightness, like something heavy was pushing down on me. "I'm sorry," I said, keeping my voice soft. "I don't have cables." He leaned a little closer. His eyes flicked to the car seat. "That's okay," he said. "I've got some. Really won't take long." I gripped the wheel tighter. That tightness in my chest flared. My gut was already screaming, "No." "I'm sorry," I repeated, moving my hand to the shifter. I have to get home. And that's when it changed. Not his face, that stayed in place. The grin, the furrowed brow, the concerned tone, but the underneath of his voice, it went flat. Dead. Like a bad actor dropping character. "You're not going to help me?" It wasn't a question. I shook my head. "I can call someone for you." I didn't wait for his response. I eased off the brake, rolled forward. Not fast, not panicked, just moving. In the mirror, I saw him watching us. His hands dropped to his sides. His face never changed. And then, as I passed the truck, something cold slid through my stomach. The blinkers went dark. The engine coughed, headlights shut off. No hood up, no tools out, no one waiting for help. There was nothing wrong with that truck. My hands were shaking now, the kind of tremble you feel in your bones before you consciously notice. I turned off the main road a mile early, took a side street. No reason except that my instincts screamed to put space between us. But 2 minutes later, headlights appeared in my rear view. Same height, same width, same damn truck. I swallowed hard, told myself it might just be coincidence. Maybe he was headed home, so I tested it. Left turn. He followed, right at the next block. Still there. By then my heart was pounding in my throat. I could hear the blood in my ears. Lila whimpered softly in her sleep, a confused little sound that nearly broke me. The sound cut through the pounding in my head like glass cracking under pressure, a tiny reminder of how breakable this moment was. I wanted to stop, to scream, to grab my baby and run, but I didn't. I remembered what my brother told me once. He's a cop in Dallas. If you're scared, don't act scared. Think. So I thought. A police station was nearby, but I wasn't sure if they were open this late. The lot would be empty if not, and pulling in alone could make things worse. Then I remembered the fire station, 3 blocks east, always manned, always lit. I didn't use my turn signal, I didn't brake. Just swung hard into the lot at the last second. Floodlights snapped on. 3 firefighters stood out front hosing down a rig. I laid on the horn. The truck behind me slowed at the entrance, paused, and then reversed, backed out onto the street, taillights disappearing into the dark. Gone. For a moment, the only sound was the hiss of the fire hose and my own ragged breathing. It felt unreal, like the world itself was holding its breath. The firefighters ran to my window. I could barely speak, just pointed at Lila and sobbed. One of them called it in immediately. Later, the fire chief told me something that still keeps me up at night. "You did the right thing," he said. "Creeps fake car trouble all the time, but following you, with a baby in the car, that's next-level predatory." They never caught him. No plate number, no nearby security cameras, no witnesses. It was like he never existed. Just a shape in the dark. And you want to know the worst part? I didn't see him drive off. Didn't hear an engine. 1 second the truck was there, and then it wasn't. Now, when people ask why I never stopped for anyone on the side of the road, man, woman, old lady with a flat, I tell them this: if someone really needs help, they'll find a way. But if you guess wrong, you don't get a second chance when your baby's in the car.